All right, Aidan, we're going to talk about so many things for all the half hours.
LOL.
How you
I'm
doing?
looking forward to it. I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Cool. Well,
I like your background.
yeah, I'll probably move it that way a bit, but anyway, I'm here with Aidan Langford, star of Roommates. Guess we'll start with what got you involved with Roommates.
I had auditioned for this project back in the spring, I guess it would be, of 2025 last year. And I had gotten the script and read it and really loved the script. My manager had sent it to me, and so I put myself on tape, as you do when you're an actor, especially now in the post-COVID. I feel like everything is on tape. We don't go in person anymore. Put myself on tape, and then about 2 weeks later, got the call that they wanted to see me again to do a chemistry read with Sadie. So that was the first time that I had met Sadie and also our director, Chandler. And it was a short chemistry read. And at the end of these things, whether it's a chemistry read or a screen test, I mean, it's like you can think you did the best job you did, but you never really know. And you just have to wait and hang out and see what happens. And then right before we started shooting, I got a call. This was over the summer of last year that I had actually booked the project and got on a plane, flew straight to New Jersey.
So when you put a tape together, like so you get the script, yeah, put a tape together, like, what do? Like, you got to find the right background. Do you get someone holding it for it? What's the whole process
The
of production
self-tape
of doing that?
process, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah,
not an actor, so I don't know any of this.
no, you're good. It's truly just you usually get the script and then also the sides. So the sides would be just like your audition scene, right, that you're doing. You have to find a reader. Usually my reader is my mom. So I go to my mom's and I have my mom help me out and she reads for me. And then yeah, you film it. You have a just normal blank background, regular background that's solid. And then after you've filmed it, you have to edit all of those scenes together and then you send them directly to casting or to your agents or whoever it is.
Has your mom ever gotten any jobs off that? Go, that Aiden guy's pretty
No,
good,
but
but
she
he's reading that
deserves
off.
it. She really should. She's like best reader I've ever had. I've actually tried. So my family's been very supportive for my entire life of this non-linear career path that I've decided to go down. And I've tried reading with other people, whether that's past roommates or friends. And I just keep going back to my mom. She has the goods for it. She just knows how to do it. No one compares to my mom when it comes to self-tapes.
That's fun. And this is a Happy Madison production, so it's got to be pretty fun on set. What was it like on set with everyone? Because it just seems like this was a blast to make.
Yeah, it was the most fun, actually. It's probably like the most fun set experience that I've had thus far. I mean, I think when you put a bunch of comedians together, it's bound to be funny and light and just like a great time. And I think, especially with Happy Madison, it seems like Adam just has his friends come and do these films with him. So they have those sort of established relationships, which I think really helps with that sort of like camaraderie and like good vibes. We're all working towards this one goal and we're all very passionate about it. And that also brings everybody together. And Nick and Natasha are like just I like can't talk enough about how amazing it was watching them work together. They have such good banter. Their improv is insane and just their like chemistry with each other was so cool to see and to also be a part of, which was like wild and weird to be like I'm a part of this thing with these actors that I love so much. And Adam was there pretty much every day basically he was there and he would show up and he'd hang out and he would come to set with a boombox and blast music and play music. We had on one of the days on set we had twin day. So basically it became like school spirit week, I guess. So on twin day everyone picked somebody else from set to dress up. And there was probably like 10 Adams on set that day. And I kept getting confused because everyone was just like, their costumes were great. And I kept being like, oh, is that Adam? And then I was like, oh no, that's a PA or that's one of our other producers or whatever it is. And so it was, yeah, it was just like a lot of fun.
So how does that work with? Because this is definitely a comedy, but you got some scenes in this that are less than comedic. So does going from that fun atmosphere to, oh, now we need to dig deep into this particular scene?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful to our director and our ADs, PAs, and everybody because whenever we had these more heavy scenes, whether it was me or Sadie, who did a fantastic job, the vibe would shift. Things would tone down and it felt a little bit more serious. And we were given space to take our time and get into the moment and get in touch with our emotions in the scene. So the vibe definitely switched for those scenes. It was like a full 180. Of course, everyone's still like having a good time, but it definitely mellowed out. There's a little less joking. Everyone just was focused on the scene at hand.
Do you ever have to make an extra take? 'Cause like you're trying to get all serious and look up during Twin Day and, oh, sorry, we gotta do that one again.
Not, no, thankfully, Twin Day was not on. We did Twin Day on a very fun, easy day, so we didn't have too many distractions when we were doing these more like serious scenes. And usually, for myself, I try to like stay in the moment for as long as I can between takes and after takes because it can be hard to turn that switch off, like on and off. And once you're there and once you're like living in that moment, you don't want to come out of it and get distracted. And everyone helped facilitate that as well.
Yeah. And what's like working with the ensemble? I'm not familiar with all your history in acting, but I figure working with an ensemble like a bunch of different people has got to give you a lot more tools in your belt than like a two-hander, for example. But then doing a two-hander, maybe you learn some tools that you don't learn doing an ensemble as well.
Yeah, they're both, I mean, they're both like different beasts and different vibes and energies. I really loved working with so many people all on one set, on one project. I think you learn a lot from watching other people do their work as well and seeing how they tackle their scenes or whatever it is. So seeing different people do that sort of informs yourself and what things you can work on or do better. And then also being able to bounce off different people's energy while you're in the scenes is super helpful and just super fun. It is more playful and feels just like there's more energy there and more ways to change things or do things differently.
How much ad-libbing goes on in this? Because I imagine, especially with comedies, like the script that you got sent must have been way different than the what the final movie ended up being. Not maybe
Yeah.
not way different in story, but way different as far as like dialogue goes.
Yeah, there was a lot of improv that we did, and it was one of the projects that I've done where there was so much freedom in how we could go about doing our lines, and there wasn't a lot of pressure to be like super word perfect with everything, which was nice because that's like very conducive to like comedy and to play and to like finding those moments and those beats and like the heart of the scene. I would say that every single scene, there's probably at the least two or three lines that were not in the original script. And I remember I would get in my email at the end of every day, like an updated version of the script, because they had to keep changing it and adding in whatever improv things we added, or if there were like last minute changes on the day to the dialogue, because we also had the writers on set with us the whole time, which doesn't happen all the time. And which was also super helpful because there were moments where we would be doing a scene and one of the writers would get an idea and be like, oh, it totally needs to be this. And they need to, like, we need to change this line so that it's this, which was like very fun to do. And to be able to change things like that so last minute and play with it was a lot of fun.
So for all the Hollywood writers and all the writers in Hollywood, could you repeat that again? There's on set.
Yeah,
'Cause
writers
I
on
think
set
I think most
every
writers are
day.
like they turn in the script and then you never see them again, but then they try to change things themselves. It's like, all right, you guys do you. I'll be over here
No,
if
it's
you need
definitely
to.
like it was a family affair for sure. Everybody who was a part of the project and attached to the project was pretty much there every single day, which was cool.
What were some challenges you had with this? As much fun as it was, I'm sure there's one or two things that maybe you stumbled on or you had trouble getting past.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the more challenging things was for myself and like my own life. I'm a very like anxious person and deal with a lot of anxiety. And so going to New Jersey and like having to leave so last minute and not knowing any of the people who are going to be there and all of that, while it's very exciting and I was like very excited, there's still also at the same time this like layer of anxiety and intimidation and just being nervous for what comes next and what happens next. And that was challenging for myself and we made it through and we did it and we had an amazing time. But that was one of the challenging things that I had to deal with on the outside of the project itself and going to set every day. That was more of like a personal sort of challenge of mine. Most of the time, I don't leave home that often. I'm a homebody, and I love being in LA. I'm not the biggest traveler. I get a little anxious. So that was challenging. And then of course there's some heavier scenes in this, like we talked about it, and those scenes were challenging and required a lot of work and background and figuring out what Alex's like motivations are and who these people in his life are and how that sort of affects his psyche. And that was also a little bit of a challenge, but it was like a fun challenge and a good challenge. I wouldn't consider that a bad challenge. I would consider it one of those like exciting challenges that you do.
Or some, on the other hand, like what were some surprises you had during this?
Surprises? I was surprised at how like open and kind and funny everybody was. There's like this saying to never meet your idol because you never know how that person's gonna be, and it can be a little bit scary, and then it can be bad if you meet your idol and they're like an absolute horrible person, that crushes your whole world. So that was scary, and then I was surprised to see that everyone was like just exactly how I pictured them, acted exactly like how they do when you like see them online or whatever it is. And it was like really refreshing to be with these really like well-established actors who are also like very kind and very down to earth and very comfortable just like being in their element and being able to just play with you with these scenes and have a good time.
So I guess we'll go back to the whole acting thing. You get a script and you're looking at it, and you're reading it and deciding whether you want to do the project or not. Maybe you do want to do the project, but what's the first thing you do besides go and record a tape? Like you got the part. Now what's going through your head? What are you looking like when you're going through the script? What are you looking at? What are you focusing on? What's your first step into becoming the character that'll end up on screen?
Yeah. So after I'd gotten the script, I had read it and tried to figure out where I just on my own related to Alex and tried to find the similarities between me and him. And then also looked at what the differences are, right? Because I'm not the same as every character that I get or that I read for. So figuring out the similarities, figuring out the differences, and then filling in those gaps with either personal experiences, just using my own like creativity to write these stories and make them feel very real to myself so that I can live in that and internalize the experiences that I like have created and think that Alex has gone through, and then creating those like memories and things that Alex has with his family or with his sister. That's like more Sparks Notesy overview of what goes into the unglamorous work that people don't often ask about or really care about. They're just do it, act, you just go. But there is that writing that goes on behind the scenes when figuring out the character. And then after that, once I figured out I had booked it, then there was a little bit of like script interpretation and going through each scene, whether it was me or someone else, and interpreting everything within the script. And I did all of
Have you,
that on the plane on the way to New Jersey.
have you, I don't even know if this would be applicable, but have you had any situations, maybe not in this, but in just other acting experiences where you were taking like you were reading the character a certain way, and the person you were going against in the scene was reading the character a completely different way, and it just wasn't gelling, and you had to figure that out? Or is that just not a thing that happens?
No, it's 100% a thing that happens. I mean, I think each actor has their own life experiences that they infuse into their characters and their own perspectives on people and on life that gets infused into the characters that they're playing because they're pulling oftentimes from their own sort of experiences or creating things, but obviously that is then informed by your own life. So every actor has a different sort of perspective on how a character should be to a degree. Obviously, it's not going to be like a complete 180 difference because we're still talking about the same person and the script is there, right? There's like writing there telling you, you know, who this person is. You're not going to take a preppy character and all of a sudden they're like a drug addict and can't sleep or whatever it is. So yeah, there's definitely like different perspectives, but I think those differences are what make different actors unique in their own ways and what makes them compelling. And that's why different people get cast in different roles.
Oh, so that usually comes out of the wash well before you even get on set then?
Yeah, that's usually dealt with like day one. That's like
You're not getting
after
the
the
part
tape
'cause you're
is sent.
clearly not
That's
looking at the same movie that we are, that sort of thing.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think if casting saw a tape and the actor that they saw, whatever, it wasn't what they felt was aligned with how they viewed the character, then they would not probably move on or go with it. Or if they really liked what they did, but they think that maybe they want to change a couple things, then they'll get called in and casting or the writers or whoever it
Reprimanded,
is will give
beaten,
them adjustments.
the baseball bat adjustment. Come on, you gotta do it right.
You can just do it right. Just do it this time.
Excellent. So, what's some roles that I guess acting techniques role like what's some acting stuff that you look at this go, yeah, I got that down. Like I can do that all day, every day because I've done it so many times. That that would scare me, but it'd be fun to try out. What are
I mean,
the hot and cold of those areas?
I mean, we talked about like challenges earlier, and I mean, I love a challenge and I love dramas. That was like my first love, I guess. Like, I've always been interested in doing more like dramatic characters and more emotional, complex characters. I love characters that have a lot of layers to them, and there's all these different things going on underneath the surface, but maybe you can't quite tell what that is, and it's just bubbling underneath there. Those are the characters that I like love to play, and they're challenging, and there's a lot of work that goes into sort of doing that successfully. But I love that. And I also love comedy. I mean, I get told that I'm funny, but I think as a funny person, I don't know. I don't consider myself funny, I guess. I don't like laugh at my own jokes, or when I'm doing things, I'm not like, oh, that's gold, that's really funny. But people do often tell me that I am funny, I guess. So I love both. There's so many different characters and so many different like roles that I would love to play, and I'm always down for a challenge. I love to be challenged. I also really like to do more horror. I'm writing a horror right now, a short film, and I am really excited to dive into that world because that's something that I haven't done a lot of and that I'm really excited to do.
Play like a really greasy creep serial killer guy.
I'm
Hey,
thinking
how's it
like
going?
super like body horror, a little bit campy, a little bit like Maxine-esque, like that sort of style is something that I'm such a big fan of. I love a like last girl moment and a good like classic horror scream. So I'm really looking forward to opening up that can of worms.
So, like, what's the horror about or the short, or can you not talk about that?
We're still in the process of writing it. I'm writing it with a good friend of mine who's also a writer, and we're going over like revisions and edits, but I don't want to get too much into plot and what it's about because I don't want to give anything away.
I mean,
And
is it like a 5 minute short or a half hour short
we're
or
doing, it's going to be like around, it'll be around 10 minutes.
okay?
So like a decent length short, not super quick, but not so long that you're like, oh my God, when is this gonna end?
That's
I
what
think it's
how
like,
shorts work. Because like you see like a 5 minute short and a half hour short seems like it takes forever, but you watch hour and a half movies all the time.
right,
Or
it's
like
weird. And
a
it's just
4 hour
because of
movie.
how plot works, right?
Yeah.
With introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, like all of that structure is still the same. You just either condense it down a lot or drag it out depending on whether it's a feature length film or a short. But yes, there are some shorts where it either goes one of two ways where you're like, oh, that was really great and I wish that was longer, or I wish that was a feature. Or the opposite, where you're at minute 8 and you're like, okay, what are we doing here? Let's pick up the pace with this.
Excellent. Well, Roommates releases on Netflix April 17th, and everyone
Woo!
can check it out. Congratulations on that. Just want to get some movie recommendations from you before you go. Either something that's personal to you or it's this is really good and no one talks about it.
One that's really good that no one talks about is Waves. It's an A24 film. Alexa Demi is in it, and I really love her. And that is one of my favorite movies. I think that it's just like all of the actors in that are so talented. And there's some names in there that aren't the biggest stars. It's not like some like Zendaya, Tom Holland type thing, but they're so talented and they deserve like all of the credit and kudos. I think that film, amazing, wonderful. Another film that I really like back on the like horror genre is Bodies, which came out like 3 or 4 years ago with Rachel Sennett. I love Rachel Sennett. That is my girl. And that movie is incredible and amazing. I will watch anything that Rachel Sennett is in.
That ending's kind of that's an ending for
Yeah, it is.
bodies. Well, just leave it at that in case someone hasn't seen it. But yeah, Aidan, congratulations on the movie, and yeah, wish y'all success. And yes, you are a funny person, but
Well, okay.
you have a soft side too.
Just blowing smoke. Well,
But,
thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure chit-chatting with you and talking about roommates and acting and movies and life. Yeah.
I feel like we both learned something. Mostly me, but
No, I feel like any interaction, you always learn something. You can always take something away from it.
yeah. But yeah, Aidan, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.